The Children's Bible, 1 Samuel 2 through 4. Samuel, child of the Lord. Once there was a woman named Hannah, who was bitter in her soul because she had no sons or daughters. She prayed to the Lord and wept sadly, and she vowed a vow. O Lord of hosts, if you will look down upon the sadness of your handmaiden and remember me, and will give to your handmaiden a man-child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head. It came to pass in due time that Hannah bore a son, and she called him Samuel, because, she said, I asked him of the Lord. Her husband, Elkanah, and all his household went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice. But Hannah did not go, for she said to her husband, I will not go up until the child is weaned, and then I will take him so that he may appear before the Lord, and stay there forever. Elkanah her husband said to her, Do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him, only keep your word to the Lord. So the woman stayed home and nursed her son until he was old enough to wean. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with a young bull of 3 years, and 1 measure of flour, and a bottle of wine. She brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, when the child was still very young. And so the young bull was slain, and the child was brought to Eli the priest. And Hannah said, O my Lord, I am the woman who stood in the temple here praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has given me what I asked of him. Therefore I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to the Lord. Then they worshipped the Lord there, and when Elkanah and his household went home, Samuel stayed, and was taught by Eli the priest. Each year Samuel's mother made him a little coat, and brought it to him, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And the child Samuel grew, and was in favor, both with the Lord and with men, and he ministered to the Lord before Eli. Now Eli's eyes began to grow dim, so that he could not see. Once, when Eli was lying down in his place, before the lamp of God was put out in the temple, where the ark of the Lord was kept, and before Samuel had lain down to go to sleep, God called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am. And Samuel ran to Eli and said, Here I am, you called me. Eli said, I did not call, lie down and sleep. He went and lay down, and again God called, Samuel. Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. And Eli answered, I did not call my son, lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet recognize the Lord, nor had the voice of the Lord been made known to him. And God called Samuel again the 3rd time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. Then Eli understood that the Lord had called the child. So Eli said to Samuel, Go and lie down, and if he calls you, you are to say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And God came and stood there, and called, as at the other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for your servant is listening. And then God said to Samuel, Behold, I am going to do something in Israel at which the ears of everyone who hears it shall tingle. On an appointed day I will perform against Eli all the things I have spoken of concerning his household. For Eli's sons were very wicked. And when I begin, I shall finish it. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever, for the wickedness of which he knows, because his sons became evil and he did not restrain them. Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that their wickedness shall not be cleansed with sacrifices nor offerings forever. Samuel lay until morning. Then he opened the doors of the house of the Lord, but he feared to tell Eli of the vision. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here I am. And Eli said, What was it that the Lord said to you? I beg you not to hide it from me. May God punish you and more if you hide anything from me of the things that he said to you. So Samuel told him everything and hid nothing from him. Eli said, It is the Lord, let him do whatever seems good to him. Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and all Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel was to be a prophet of the Lord. Now Israel went out to battle against the Philistines, and after a bloody day's reverses, the elders of Israel said, "Why has the Lord struck us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord from Shiloh, so that when it comes among us, it may save us from the hand of our enemies." So the people sent to Shiloh, and when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang out. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, "What does this mean, the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews?" They learned that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp, and they were afraid, for they said, "God has come into the camp. Woe unto us! This is the God that struck the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness." But their leaders said, "Be strong and act like men, O Philistines, so that you do not become servants to the Hebrews as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men and fight." And the Philistines fought, and Israel was defeated. There was a very great slaughter. 30,000 of Israel's footmen fell, and the ark of God was taken.